You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So hi, we want to take this moment to show you a little bit of how we actually got to France. We're going to take a little break from the vlog style. We're just going to show you a little how-to video, our first how-to video. So if you don't like it, just let us know. But this how-to video is going to be how we got our visa in France.
And the next one's going to be about how to eat cheese. Because I'm really good at that.
So well, the visa that we got, it's not your regular tourist visa that you would get just by entering the country. So usually when you enter the country with a US passport, we're gearing this towards US citizens. But what we want to do at this point is we want to explain to you how we got our visa and what type of visa and everything else. So the visa that we got was not the normal tourist visa, which is a 3-month entry visa where you enter and you get 90 days to go around the European community. This is a 1-year long stay visa. So the difference between the 90-day and the 1 year is that the 90-day you just walk in, as long as you have a return ticket, it's automatically granted for you for US citizens.
Showing that you're going to leave in 3 months, so a ticket or a train or something to get out of Europe.
The 1-year visa you have to apply for it in advance. So you cannot apply for it once you're in France. So say you're here and you really like it a lot and you want to stay, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to apply for the 1 year. You have to actually go back to your home country and apply for it there. So this is where the advanced preparation comes into play.
A lot of advanced preparation.
Okay, so to find out information as to what your requirements are, for us, we did it in the US, and there's a website. The website is www.franceintheus.org, and that will take you to the website for the French embassy in the US, and then also give you links to all the different consulates in the US as well. And you'll be applying at your local consulate, if not at the French embassy in Washington D.C. So utilizing the website of franceintheus.org, if you choose to go to a local consulate, make sure you choose a consulate of where you actually reside.
Every consulate has different requirements. They're all pretty similar. They vary just slightly, but you should definitely make sure you are looking at your former place of residence and the consulate that goes with that one for their requirements.
For instance, we reside in Maine, and our consulate of choice or of requirements is Massachusetts, is Boston.
So some states don't have their own consulate, so that when you go to the webpage, it'll say what is your nearest consulate that you can apply for the visa at. And for us, because our residence is Maine, we go to Boston.
So the checklist that we're going to go through now is the checklist that we personally went through to apply for our visa based on the Boston consulate. First item is the application form.
Okay, so for the application form for Boston, it actually has, it lists everything we needed, and we're actually set application form with a live link. So you click on it, it takes you right to the application form. It's very, very simple. The key is that you have to fill out an application for every individual in the family.
Next item is ID pictures. So ID pictures, these are basically your passport shots. The requirement is 5x5, and the website will give you the actual expressions you're allowed to have. And this is kind of interesting because you're supposed to have no expression, almost look like a criminal. And
it actually, I don't know if they're all like this, but for Boston, they actually had printouts and they had samples of people, and you're not supposed to have white, you're supposed to have white background, full face, no glasses, no hat, closed mouth. So I suggest we took the paper with us to CVS, and basically it was 2 or 3 sheets long of all the different expressions and what we're not supposed to have and what we're supposed to do, because I didn't want our application to get turned down because we didn't take the photos correctly.
And it's the right crop too. It's supposed to be pretty close in as well.
Yeah, tight crop.
Yeah, so there's a lot to scrutinize when it comes to this, and we just wanted to make sure we got it right. Next item, your passport. So these are basically your normal passports. Now, as far as applying in the US, you can apply for a visa in the US whether you are a US citizen or not. The question is whether you have residency or not. So as far as a passport, what they do request is that you have 3 months beyond the travel period. So let's just say it's going to be a 1-year long stay visitor visa, and it's going to start in September. Then you'd want to make sure that you have the whole year from September, plus you have 3 months extra.
Also make sure that your passport, the ones that have passports that are valid within a certain amount of years, have at least 2 blank pages in the back. And if you saw my post about Ecuador and applying for our visa there, you'll know what I'm talking about, because someone had to fly back to Miami just to get a passport quickly because he didn't have enough pages in his passport. In your application, you need to include 1 copy of each identity page, which is the first page with all your information of each passport passport for each person applying for the visa.
Next step, residency card.
So for us, this was not an issue because we're U.S. citizens, but if you're not a U.S. citizen and you're applying, you need to attach a copy of your green card or your visa with your application.
Next step, criminal record.
So for us on the Boston requirements, they actually had all the states that report to the Boston consulate, Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, Rhode Island, New Hampshire. They actually had on the list of requirements the state and where you get the criminal report. Again, a live link that you can click on, and then you just fill out all the information to get your criminal report. So with this consulate stuff, I always feel like if I send an email, it's going to some sort of black hole and I'm never going to get a response, which happens a lot with a lot of the government offices and we have to deal with them. However, I took a risk here with the Boston one because I had a lot of questions. You know, some of this stuff, do you need this? Do you need that? I had a lot of questions. So I actually sent an email into them and I got a response. So I'm sure I was driving this guy crazy, and when we actually went and applied for the visa, they said he had quit. I hope it wasn't because of me. However, he was very helpful. I had a lot of questions for him, and this is how I knew that we needed to apply in Massachusetts and Maine for the criminal report. I said, which one do I do? We were living in Massachusetts, but now we filed taxes in Maine, but we're registered to vote in Massachusetts, and he said just do both to be safe. So if there's any question at the end of the day, send an email or do both. It can't hurt.
The next item on the checklist was a letter promising not to work. Now, we were...
I'll do a letter like that any day.
So there wasn't a lot of description on this. It was just basically saying a letter that you promise not to work, because you're not getting a work visa, you're getting a tourist visa that's longer than 3 months. So the idea is you're not going to take employment away from the local French citizen or someone who's actually valid to work. For us, we typed up a letter. And
I mean, the letter was literally the date, our names, one sentence. Well, actually, we did them individually. So we each had our own form, and I said, and put the date, and I said, I, Jessica Suero, promise not to work or seek employment in France, and then my name, and then I signed it and it dated it, and then it had to be notarized.
I think you can just say, I promise not to work. Have a nice day.
But make sure you get it notarized.
And put a smiley face. Next item is letter of employment.
Online it actually says letter of employment in the U.S. stating occupation and earnings. This is not other income. This is your occupation and your earnings. So if you're self-employed, this is where it becomes a little complicated. We decided to not use my employment, only use Will's, and then use other investments.
So for my employment, I simply just got a letter from the employer that I have, and stating that my salary and what my status is. It wasn't really that complicated, and yeah,
I guess it worked.
Yeah, it worked. So the next item is proof of means of income.
So this one was kind of the wild card for us, as I'm sure it is for many people. And this poor guy that I was emailing constantly asking him questions, I'm sure was getting annoyed with me, but it's quite vague. So you don't really know how much you need to include, how many different documents, how much money you need to show. So for us, at the end of the day, we just decided to go with a statement from our savings account, a statement from our 401k that we just got offline and we printed out, and then where a lot of our investment or our money is in real estate. So there's really no magic number to show real estate holdings. So for the end of the day, what I did for each one of our properties was I showed a Zillow, kind of guesstimate estimate of the value. I showed the mortgage that we owed on it, a copy of the lease and what the tenants were paying, and then I wrote in the amount of equity, taking obviously what we owe to the value, and I did that for each one of our properties. And when I went in to submit them to the guy, and this was a lot of work, the gentleman said, I just need one. I'm like, you sure you don't want to take them all? Please take them all.
But there is no magic formula.
It seems at the end of the day that they really want to see if you can support yourself for a year and not be a burden on society. So if you have a substantial income that you can prove, I'm going to guess that would be sufficient, and maybe some other income or liquid assets that you can access if, God forbid, you lost your job or something, or lost your income. Would you say?
Right, yeah. So next is proof of medical insurance. So this is just proof that you have medical coverage. It's not that complicated. However, there is specific language that you need to show when you're proving medical coverage.
You need medical coverage as well as evacuation coverage on that medical insurance policy. You need to have a rider on there that will give your medical insurance will pay for you to be evacuated from the country if necessary. For the visa process, they require that your medical insurance is paid in advance for the entire year that you're going to be in the country. Now for us, we pay every January, so we would be partially paid, right? We came here in the end of August, and come January, our insurance will expire and we'll have to pay again. And so when I contacted the consulate, they said, no, you have to pay the entire year in advance. And when we contacted our insurance company, they said, we cannot pay 2017 yet, that it's too early. So I went back to the consulate and I said, hey, what do we do? And in the meantime, I contacted the insurance company and they gave me a letter that stated that we were not allowed to pay for 2017 medical insurance until November of 2016. So I submitted that with our form that we're paid up until the end of December, and that was sufficient.
All right, so next item is marriage certificates, and I'm going to sort of tag team that with birth certificates. These items are generally just to make sure that if you're coming with children, you are who you are and you are the parent of that person that you're saying you're the parent of. So they want to make sure that you're actually married to each other and you have a solid line through that marriage/birth certificate triangle to make sure that those are indeed your children.
I know for some of you this might be an issue because marriage certificate, many people nowadays are not married and have children together. I don't know how they handle that. I really don't. You'd have to look into that deeper. So, and also when you go to apply for the visa, they don't actually keep your marriage and birth certificate with them. So if you don't have that many copies, however, I suggest have multiple copies if you're going to be traveling, that they will take it, they'll make a Xerox of it and hand it back to you. So you will actually leave the appointment that when you apply for your visa with the birth certificate and marriage license.
Next item is proof of accommodation.
And this can be another one that's kind of, sketchy and a little kind of scary for people. For this visa, you need to have a signed lease or rental agreement or title or something like that to prove that you have residence in the country for 1 year, that you're not, again, going to be burdened on the society and leeching off the system. So this you can handle however you want. For us, we just went through Airbnb, found a place we liked, negotiated a price. We had a friend that lived local that we asked to come take a look at the place, and then we drew up a lease with the person, and we submitted that lease with our application.
The next item and the last item essentially on the checklist is residency form.
And so it's this guy right here. And again, it says residency form and it's a link and you click on it and it's the form. It's the form that you need to fill out. You need to fill one out for each person applying for the visa. And basically, you fill out the top portion of it and it needs to accompany your application. And then this part right here, and then once you land in France, you have 3 months to fill out the bottom portion. There's also a processing fee attached to this application. And for us, I believe it was $111, $110 per person. Did they take credit cards? We paid in cash, but
they did take credit cards.
We paid in cash, but you can pay with credit card.
So that sums up the checklist. That sums up what you need to provide for
the Boston consulate.
The Boston consulate for your visa, for the long stay visitor visa for France. Having put all that together, the next step would be just scheduling your appointment. So going through the consulate website, you can make your appointment, and this is usually they open up about 30 days in advance. Around there, 35 days in advance. So after you've made your appointment and you've gone ahead, you've delivered yourself, you presented yourself to the consulate and you've submitted all your paperwork, then it generally only takes about 2 weeks. They say give it four weeks to process and deliver the visa, but in our instance,
it took 2 weeks, right? 10 business days.
2 weeks.
It? Yeah, 10 business days.
It was really clutch.
And also, you can only submit your visa up to 3 months in advance. Also, it says online here, it says if you cannot pick up your visa by yourself, you can send it FedEx. They can send it FedEx, and there's some requirements there. And with the Boston office as well, they didn't send us an email when it was complete. They said send us an email in 2 weeks and we'll let you know if it's complete or if we need anything. And literally within 2 weeks I sent an email and I got an email back that just said like, your visa has been approved. That's it. So it was very cut and dry and okay, woohoo, and let's go get it. And I mean, like I said before, give yourself enough time to get this accomplished. So if you do have to go, if you're not married and you have to get some sort of other form or your criminal report doesn't come in time, you've given yourself enough time. We were kind of down to the wire and it was a little stressful at times. Another thing, I don't know if it's really that relevant, but keep your stuff organized. When we got there, our appointment was very efficient. We went up to a window, we sat at the window and he basically read off. He had a list and he said, I need this, I need this, I need this. So you don't want to be wasting their time shuffling through a stack of papers. Have everything organized, paper clipped, and ready to go. You need birth certificates. Here are the 4 birth certificates. Now, you don't want to get there to the appointment and have questions. Get those questions answered ahead of time so you're there with all your material.
So with all that in mind, you should have an easy process. And if you have any comments or you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. We're happy to answer.
So totally reach out to us if you have any questions or anything like that. We will do our best to help. And if we can't help, maybe we can point you towards someone or who has done it in the country that you're looking to move to. But so far, it seems like it's very seamless. I mean, we haven't had any problems or anything like that. So.
All right. So if you are going to apply for France, good luck, and hope you guys have a great time.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
But I don't know the format. Okay, I'm gonna let you lead the show. Go ahead. And what was our visa called? Long stay visa for visitors, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. You ready?
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We're really not that good.
Itching, my nose is itching, my hair.
I want this to come up and then edit and then you start talking. Next step, criminal record. So criminal record is
my scariest part of the application.
So criminal.
Can I just say some random things now or no?
Right. So utilize the website, Stop. So
I was pretty much in charge of all of this because Will was gallivanting the world with his drone. I feel like there's some other things that I want to say, notes, and I don't want to say that. No, I don't want to say something, doing something you shouldn't.
No.
Okay, I think,
that's it.
Okay, that's it, okay. Eat the cheese and drink the wine and da. Anyway, Will, this one has the microphone, but this one doesn't.
I know.
And I keep looking at this one. Should I be looking at this one too?
Let's still grab.
Let me go where I'm going and then you can tell.
Right.
What are we talking about?
The appointment, the consulate.
Can we start the whole thing again? Because you said in the beginning, we're going to show you how to do the visa.
We are going to. Stop.
We're so good at this. Again, we're not experts. This is just our kind of take on it and going through the whole process.
Maybe a little bit too much.
But it's, well, okay.
We're just like a how-to.
Okay, but I think that's good information. It's going to be a 30-second how-to.